So on the 4-hour time frame itself, you can see we are playing within this very large swing range. Okay, this is the 4-hour swing low, and then this is the 4-hour swing high that we have up here. Now, this is a super duper large swing range, and after a break of structure, we are anticipating price to start pulling back, right? We are anticipating price start shifting bearish to facilitate the pullback. So obviously over here, the first thing you want to look out for is some form of market shift. Okay, so over here, what do we have? You can see price started creating lower highs, but then it did facilitate the pullback into these previous areas of demand that we have right here, right? That was being created at this last internal higher low right here, pull back there, fill up the remaining buy orders, and then now it's pushing to the upside. So right now, I would deem this as the continuation phase, right? So it's a very tricky situation to be in, right? Because you don't really want to enter for a buy here, because you enter for a buy right here, your stop loss must be below these lows, and then your take profit depends on like where the next supply is, right? But I can only imagine that it shouldn't be, yeah, it shouldn't be too far up. Yeah, it's like somewhere around here. Yeah. So the risk reward wise is not really ideal to enter for a buy in this particular situation right here. And in terms of entering for a sell here, it's a little bit 50-50 because right now, especially because of June, right, there's a very high chance that price is just consolidating within this range right here. You can see since the start of June itself, we've just been stuck in this consolidation, right? So there's a high chance that, you know, price will remain in this consolidation before, you know, a much more clearer bias gets formed, right? Maybe when the smart money come back from vacation, whatever, right? So in this case right here, let's just focus on like this little internal range that we have down here. So if I were to map out like my internal structure, let me just take a look at this. Okay, price goes up, pulls back, then started creating all these little lower highs right here. Boom, boom. And then later on, we did got a market shift right here, which confirmed to us that price shifted bullish. Like I said, to tell us that the pullback is over, and right now price is about to continue bullish, right? So what happens is the price continue going up after mitigating these areas of demand that we have down here, and then right now it's at these areas of supply that we have up here. Okay, this is exactly where price is at right now. So if you look at this, this is really like just a pretty tight little consolidation. To me, it's very difficult to like trade this. Let me just put this up here, 4-hour supply. There we go. Okay, so for me, I personally wouldn't enter for a buy right here. In terms of entering for a sell, it's a little bit tricky as well because right now the internal order flow is indeed bullish, right? But if I want to really trade this consolidation right here, this would probably be like the best time to actually look for shorts. Okay, if I want to really play this entire giant consolidation right here. Okay, but yeah, bear in mind that if you do go for shorts, understand that you are going against this huge internal bullish order flow, right? So it's not the highest priority setup, okay? But let's say price comes up here, you know, mitigate this area. Let's look at where is the available liquidity in this case, right? We know that there's liquidity above this highs right here, which has already been swept. You can see what happened was that they have used the available liquidity above this high to fuel this bearish movement that we have right now going on in the market right here. Okay, see, you can see right here, price went up, mitigate this supply. It did not came down here, right? It literally went up there, trigger all the stop losses above these highs before it started crashing down. Okay, so this would be a very quick scalp, right? You know, get in here, you target some form of like mini demand right here. This would be a pretty good quick scalp. Okay, but let's talk about what you can do right now. So in this particular situation itself, let's go down to the 15-minute, right? And let's continue to look at the internal structure. So in this case, you can see price was creating like this very subtle internal structure right here. And we did got a shift to the downside recently, right? So price is pretty much came down there, giving us a fractal market shift right here. Okay, this could be the first sign that tells us that price is potentially shifting bearish. But bear in mind that this could also be a liquidity sweep as well, right? Because we didn't have like a clear candlestick close, at least not yet. Okay, so until we got a very clear candlestick close, I'm not really convinced that this is indeed like a valid market, fractal market shift, right? Until I get some form of internal break of structure to the downside, this to me, it could just be like a liquidity sweep for price to just push up even further, right? So yeah, that's pretty much how I see what the market is doing right now. So in this case itself, it's kind of like in the middle of nowhere. It's not really like the perfect time to trade, because if you want to enter for sell, you could have done it right here and then just take profit right here, right? This would be a very quick scalp. And then it's also not the ideal situation to look for longs as well, right? You can technically look for longs right here. You wait for price to shift this low and then look for longs here, and then you can try to target this area right here. But bear in mind that we are at this higher time frame supply zone, right? Which we know that there's going to be supply, right? So in this case, it's not the most highest property environment that I want to be trading in. But yeah, in this case itself, let me just see what else we can do here. Okay, we got price goes down, fractal market shift. Okay, let's see how we can potentially short this. If I want to short this, right, what I do need to see, let me just take a look at this. Okay, let's map out the last internal break of structure, which is right here. Okay, you can see there's so much imbalance right here. Let's map out this demand right here as well. 15-minute demand. And then there's also another demand right here. Okay, so if I want to look for sales, this is where I'm going to be targeting first. Okay, so in this case right here, we got a fractal market shift. Okay, do I got some form of liquidation? Yes, I did. Right, price liquidated this high right here. So we know that this supply that we have up here is some form of institutional supply that swept liquidity. Right, so this is where I want to enter from if I'm looking for shorts. Okay, so I got my fractal market shift. I got price liquidating this high right here, and also got price liquidating these equal highs that we have up here as well. Right, so there you have it. So this is where you can potentially wait for price to pull back to this institutional supply, and then you can target this area that we have down here. All right, this area right here. This will be like a quick 1 to 2.5 hour trade. So that's pretty much how I would short this market right here. But bear in mind, like I said, it's not the highest property environment that you want to be shorting in, mainly because internal is bullish. Higher time frame order flow is also bullish as well, right? So there's, in terms of probability wise, there's a higher chance that price is just gonna do this compared to doing this. Okay, there is still a chance that price will do this, but like I said, it's all about probabilities, right? But there's like a higher chance that price will just remain bullish and just continue pumping. Okay, so that's pretty much my bias for EU, right? Honestly, I personally would not take this trade right here. But yeah, this is just to show you guys what I'll do if I want to enter for a sell right here. But yeah, I'll deem this as like the lower end of like a medium property environment. This is not even counted as like the higher end of the medium property environment. It would more be like a lower end. And the reason why it's still counted as like a medium property setup is because we did have liquidation over here, and we also got price liquidating this low right here, and we also got some form of fractal market shift, right? So I wouldn't deem this as like the lowest property setup. So yeah, that's pretty much how I approach Euro USD right now at the moment. Yeah, so let me know what you guys think, right? So are you guys looking for shorts? Are you guys looking for longs on Euro USD, or are you just like, you know, sitting on the hands right now? I'm looking for entry model for long position now, as price is very bullish but has just stepped into an imbalance. That's on the 1 minute chart. 100%, right? That's good, Andy, right? You can potentially look for some nice longs, and then you can just target like this high right here, especially if you're trading on like 1 minute as well. Or you can even long it all the way up to like this supply if you want to play it safe. What would be your trade which you are waiting for? Good question, Michael. Right, so in terms of what I'm waiting for right now at the moment, I personally would much rather enter for longs like somewhere around here, over here or here. Then we'll be trading with the internal and also trading with the swing order flow as well, right? Yeah, so this area right here will be pretty decent to look for longs to try to target like these highs right here. Yeah, because right now you must understand that we are technically in the high probability environment since we already got a market shift. And right now, internal is aligned with our swing structure, right? Both is extremely bullish right now. It's just a matter of waiting for the right time to actually enter to ride this move to the upside itself, right? And to me, this is kind of like overbought, right? So I want to wait for price to come back to like a better price, like a cheaper price, and then look for my longs somewhere around here or even here, right? Depending on where my entry model show up itself. Yeah, that's pretty much what I'm looking for right now. Andy said gotta be patient a bit for them big daddy longs. That's right, Andy. Patience is the name of the game, eh? Okay, cool guys. Right, like doesn't matter if you're looking for shorts, looking for longs. You can see we all have our own perception of the market. If you guys been through the self-transcendence course module, you have heard the story of me talking about the 6 guys blindfolded on the elephant, right? like one guy struck the elephant trunk and thought that it was like a rope or something, and then another blindfolded guy touched the elephant's body and thought that it was like a wall, right? Everybody will have their own perception of the market. That's just how it is. But ultimately, it's about trying to see the objective truth, like what the market is, what the market is actually showing us and telling us, and just like listening to it and just try to be as aligned as possible, right? So that's for Euro USD. Next, let's move on to GBP USD. I actually marked this up, I think, a few days ago, or rather last week, right? I deemed that this was the 4-hour strong low. And when this actually happens right here, I was not convinced that this is a market shift, right? You can see right here. When this happens right here, I still felt like price was bullish. I did not think that price was shifting bearish because this candlestick took out this low right here, took out the 4-hour swing low. Reason being is like, I just know that there's available liquidity still sitting below these lows right here, waiting to be swept, right? So yeah, like I didn't really mark this up as a market shift. I just continue marking out this as like a 4-hour strong low. And you can see what happened later on is that price, they came down here, swept this low right here before we got a huge push to the upside, right? And then price is all the way up here now, right? So right now, high time frame, obviously bullish, right? We got price actually coming down there, sweeping the lows that we have right here. Okay, let's just go up to the daily time frame and look at this. Yep, we can see. If you look at this, right, the daily time frame swing low right here, none of these candlesticks close below the daily time frame swing low, right? You can see it's all just wick breaks. Okay, so this further validate the idea that this was indeed a valid strong 4-hour low, which did not get broken whatsoever. Okay, so in this case right here, I'll just leave this as it is. And remember, this is not the 4-hour swing low. Why? Because price has not taken out this high right here. Okay, so right now, looking at the swing range, this will be the swing range that we are playing within. This is the 4-hour swing high, and then this will be our 4-hour swing low right here. Okay, I cannot move this here yet, like I said, because price did not take out this high yet. So just know that this will be the range that you're trading within. Now we are in kind of like a sandwich situation right here. It's the exact same thing as EURUSD. It's like internal is extremely bullish, lots of imbalance, right? And you cannot enter for a buy right here. If you enter for a buy right here, it's just like a FOMO entry and it doesn't really count, right? And this is where, like I said, you want to enter at a price where it's cheap, right? So in this case right here, if I were to look at this entire move as a whole, let's look at the 1-hour time frame. You can see we got a market shift right here, and then later on price, it came down there, didn't really took out this low right here, swept this low here before we push the upside. Okay, so you can see after this itself, there's a huge imbalance just like this. Okay, very huge imbalance. Usually when there's like a huge imbalance like this, there's a very low chance that price will pull all the way back to this order block before going up, right? It usually come pull back to like some form of imbalance, right? Just make like a minor pullback because there's a lot of momentum and then just continue going up just like this. Okay, so in this particular case itself, so if I were to mark up this as my breakout structure to the upside, just like this, no, that's iBoss. There we go. You can see that in this case, if I were to mark up my premium discount, which I can't yet because there's no swing high being formed yet, right? But if I want to mark up this entire range just like this, you can see price pretty much came down to the discount pricing, and then right now it's pulling back up to the premium pricing itself. So right now, if you look at where price is currently at, it's within the premium pricing, right? So it's really not a good time to look for longs. So in this case right here, very difficult to enter for a buy right here. In that case, you really want to start to map out all the point of interest where price can potentially pull back to, and then you sit on your hands until price mitigate those point of interest, right? So in this case right here, if I were to mark up my fractal point of interest, this will be my fractal demand. Okay, this is fractal demand, and then there's another fractal demand right here, and then there's this one is, I wouldn't really count this as like a proper demand zone, even though we did get this minor fractal pullback, mainly because of the fact that like this is just efficient price action. I will just deem this as one leg itself. What I do want to see is like a more obvious pullback just like this, push up, pull back, then push up, right? This is just an entire leg by itself. Okay, so if I will go down to the 15-minute time frame itself, you can see price just continue skyrocketing right now. So in this case, where do you think price is gonna start pulling back to? When do you think price is gonna start making the pullback to this point of interest right here? You look towards the left, right? So if you look towards the left right here, you can see that there is a supply that we have up here as well. For our supply, there we go. Okay, this could be the first point of interest that price will be mitigating to fill up some sell orders before pulling back to this area right here. So this further backs up the idea that we shouldn't be looking for longs right here because we are after all at this 1 hour supply. Okay, so in this case, like I said, you can potentially even look for shorts, right? But like I said earlier, it's very low probability because you are going against the internal and you're going against the swing as well. Okay, so if you want to look for shorts, because of the fact that this market is super duper overextended, you can, but just know that when price is going up, it can go even higher, right? There is no rule in the book that says that price has to start going down because price is up like, I don't know, 500 pips or whatever this is, right? There is no rule in the book that says that, right? High can go higher. So you want to really look for like multiple confirmation to back up your short trade ideal. If you do want to enter for a sell right here and you want to be very aggressive when it comes to your TP, you want to just, get in fast, get out fast, perhaps right here. That's if you're looking for shorts, right? In this case, let's look at the left hand side. Okay, there's available liquidity above this highs right here. And then you can see right here, was there any fractal market shift here? Nope. This is just price creating high highs, high lows, high highs, high lows. There is no fake market shift whatsoever yet, right? There is no our entry model number 3. So in this case, I'm not going to be looking for sell until I get some form of liquidation, right? So in this case right here, price is still continue going up. Do not look for sell, all right? Do not look for sell. Once again, don't impose your bias onto the market. Okay, you want to trade with like a clear mind. Okay, so in this case right here, since I'm not looking for sells, right, I'm gonna start planning out my long position, right? What I do want to see is price start shifting bearish right here on like the lower time frame, pull back to this point of interest, like I mentioned just now on EU, and then show me my entry model right here. And SERP obviously must have some form of liquidation, and then I'll look to trade this move itself. Okay, but like I said, if the entry model doesn't present itself right here, you can always wait for price to pull back to this point of interest, show your entry model, and then look for longs itself. Okay, so in this case, like I said, please, for the love of God, don't enter for a sell right here because you are essentially just putting blindfold on yourself. You are essentially putting earplugs and ignoring what the market is actually telling you if you actually start to enter for a sell right here, right? Because we know that price is still clearly bullish, right? There's a lot of momentum currently in the market right here. So if you do enter for a sell, like I said, you're just trading your belief on the market, your thoughts on the market, rather than the objective reality of the market. Okay, so in this case itself, sitting on your hands, like I said, want to enter for a sell, look for further confirmation. Want to enter for a buy, wait for price to pull back to this point of interest, where price is a lot cheaper, much more undervalued, and then you can considering looking for longs from there. Okay, so that's pretty much my bias for GU, right? Today is Tuesday, yeah. Okay, today is Tuesday. We can potentially see our nice little trade opportunity within the next two days or so, right? Within the next 2 days or so, there should be some form of opportunity. But for now, yeah, it's just not it, right? But yeah, that's pretty much it for GU. And he said, if you look at a 50-minute point of interest, would you say that point of interest has been mitigated already? Which one? Let me see. This one hasn't been mitigated. This one hasn't been mitigated as well. None of this has been mitigated. Let me just see. If price goes up. This one has been mitigated though. You can see this one right here. If I draw this 50-minute demand here, this is a very clear mitigation. Price comes down into like the 50% of it and then before pushing up. The high to the left. Oh, this one right here. Yes, if I'm looking at this itself, yes, this is indeed has been mitigated, right? So you can actually mark this one as your unmitigated supply zone right here, right? Yeah, so I'll actually mark both. and I'll just be aware that, okay, there is liquidity sitting above these highs. So even though this is mitigated, right, bear in mind that because of the fact that there is available liquidity sitting near the high itself, there is still a chance that price will come deeper into this point of interest, swap the liquidity before we push to the downside. Like that could happen. Okay, so for gold itself, yeah, we are within this swing structure right here on the 15-minute time frame itself. Or you can even define this as your 4-hour swing high and 4-hour swing low, right? Like I said, it doesn't really matter whether you deem this as the daily swing high, or this as the 4-hour swing high, or this as the 4-hour swing high, or this is the 15-minute swing high. Like at the end of the day, like if you guys follow mechanical rules, we will all come down to like the same conclusion. Right? If you don't believe me, you can just test it out, right? Because the rules are so universal, where it's so weird, because everything is because of the fact that the price is fractal, right? Like I said, like whatever happens on the lower time frame must first happen on a higher time frame. So it really depends on your trading style, right? There's a bunch of like nuances when it comes to this. But if you just get like the entire core concept of like market structure right, and you follow the mechanical rules, at the end of the day, like you will just come down to like the same conclusion as I do, right? Like trust me, I've tested this out. I've tried marking this as like the daily structure, and then it's the same thing. Like you will just come back to the same thing, that this is the range that you want to be focusing on, right? So in this particular case itself, we know that this is the range that we want to focus on, right? Doesn't matter, you can call this the 1-hour swing high, 1-hour internal high, 15-minute swing high, whatever, right? That doesn't matter. This is just the range that we want to be focused on, right? You don't want to be too fixated on the terminologies, right? So in this particular case itself, what happened was that we got a break of structure, high highs, high low, high high, high low, right? So right now we know that price has mitigated this higher time frame supply, and right now price is potentially creating like a new high low right here. This is actually perfect. Like if I look at this right here, this is the price action that I want to be trading in. I really like this price action right here. Okay, so in this case right here, you have marked up our, okay, let me just get rid of this because price has already mitigated that. Okay, price has blasted through that, so I can just get rid of that as well. In this case, this is the 15-minute swing high. This is the 15-minute demand zone, right? This is the extreme demand zone. So price has mitigated the point of interest. Cool. Good. Perfect. Look for your entry model. Next thing is, let's just go down to the 1-hour time frame. Next thing is you want to ask yourself, have there been any sort of liquidation whatsoever? Right, so in this case right here, what we have, we got price creating lower highs. Okay, this is just noise, and then price later on come down here. And what do we have here? This was that last internal break of structure to the downside. And then later on, price came up there and took out this lower high right here, giving us a fractal market shift, making this a strong low. A strong low that took out this strong high itself. So this is not just a strong low, this is also equal lows as well, right? Price goes down, pull up, goes down, pull up again, equal lows. We know that there is a ton of available liquidity sitting above these highs, below these highs itself, below these lows itself, right? And later on, price came down here, swept these lows, but guess what? There was not enough liquidity, there was not enough demand in the market for price to continue going back up. In the end, it created like a failed reaction right here, supply overpowered demand, and just continue bearish, now coming down to this extreme demand zone. Now, this is where so many people get it wrong. Bear in mind that you cannot enter for a buy right here thinking that smart money have used the liquidity below this strong low, because of the fact that it has already been used, right? Which means we need new available liquidity to be built up, and we want to see that get swept before we actually look for longs. Okay, so in this case right here, I cannot count this as like a valid liquidity sweep, or rather it is indeed a valid liquidity sweep, but the liquidity has already been used, right, to fuel this move right here. Okay, no, to fuel this move right here, this one right here. So in this case, I want to look for my next liquidity point where price is gravitating towards, and I want to wait for that to be swept before I actually look for longs. Okay, so in this case right here, when my internal structure is still bearish, right? So all of this is just In the end, this is just like a massive liquidity sweep. Just mark that up as well. And the price comes down here. Okay, price comes down. Broke structure here. Right. And then this would be your last 50-minute supply. Okay, and then price come down all the way out down to our extreme point of interest right here. You look towards the left-hand side, what do we have? We got a bunch of push inducement right here, right? Price goes up, pulls back, goes up, pulls back. Let's mark up all the point of interest that we have here. This would be my refined point of interest as well. And then there's also another one like somewhere right around here, which is exactly where price is at right now. Another one here. This one did swap some liquidity, which is really nice. And then we can mark our extreme point of interest here as well. Okay. And then you also swap liquidity below these lows here as well. Okay, so price came down. Swap this low right here. Let me just mark that up. Okay, cool. So now in this particular case itself, we got our liquidation, right? Price did swap the push inducement that we have right here. And you can see we did have the liquidity sweep. We did have structure shifting in the lower time frame. If I look at the lower time frame, you can see clear as day, we got some form of like fractal market shift going on right here. Yep, you can see we got some form of fractal market shift right here. What does this tell us? This tells us that price is shifting bullish. Now, does this tell us that price is going to come all the way up here? No, not yet. Until price take out this lower high, there is no clear confirmation that the entire 1 hour structure is shifting bullish. All this tells us is that price is potentially shifting bullish to pull back to this last internal lower high that we have on the 15-minute time frame itself. Okay, so in this case right here, this is actually a pretty good opportunity to look for longs, right? If I want to enter for a long right here, I'll potentially just be targeting like this high right here. Yeah, because this is really like that last internal bearish structure, right? And then price can potentially make its next move to the downside just like this. Or it can go bullish. And if you go bullish, take out this high, then we know that price is potentially pulling back to this high right here. And then from that point of interest, this will be the determining factor to decide whether price is going to shift bullish on the higher time frame, or is it going to continue bearish and go down even further, right? So if price take out that high, like I said, we know that this pullback is over, and right now price is going to do this. If it doesn't, then we know that price could potentially make like a deeper pullback, or it can even be stuck in like this giant consolidation, right? So that's pretty much how I see the market right now. It's shifting bullish, right? But it's potentially pulling back to some near point of interest, right? And if you look at this, let's go back to our low resistance liquidity chart. What do we have here? Magic. Abracadabra. Look at this. This shit is, I didn't pull this shit out of my ass, all right? Like you can see, what happened? Low resistance liquidity, where price is creating these higher highs, higher lows, which means that available liquidity is going to be being built up below these lows right here. Okay, which could potentially be swept later on. And this also means that price is pulling back to the near point of interest, right? Since there is no liquidity being swept right here, during the pullback, right? Like during this pullback itself, there is no like price did not liquidate any like lows right here. It just make like this very passive corrective move right here. This means that price is most likely going to make a short pullback to the nearest point of interest, which in this case is this point of interest right here. And then we can potentially continue bearish, right? But like I said, this is not always like super duper accurate, right? It depends on what price want to do. Like I said earlier, price could still come up here, right? But in this case right here, because of the fact that there's all this available liquidity sitting below all these higher highs, these mini high lows right here, there's a chance that price will later on come down and swap those highs, before we can potentially even get the move to the upside, right? That, my friend, is low resistance liquidity. Okay, so in this case itself, You want to look for longs? This is how you can play it, right? You can look to enter at least like higher lows on like the lower time frame itself and just try to target this high right here. Okay. And then, yeah, and then from the high itself, from this high right here, you can try to see whether, you got entry model, right? If you got the entry model that tell you that structure is shifting bearish again, then you can look for short and short it all the way back down here. But based on what price is doing right now, probability wise, there's a high chance that it's going to go up and hit this take profit easily. Okay, let me just look at the lower time frame as well. Yep, you can see this is definitely low resistance liquidity. There's also another point of interest right here. This is on like the, let's see this, super duper low time frame, 5 minute. Yep, right here. Let's just map that out as well. 15-minute supply. If price is able to just blast right through this one right here, right? This most recent supply at the last lower high, then yeah, price can easily come out to this area right here. Yeah, price can easily come out to this area if it just blasts right through this one here. So this is really like that last area of resistance the price has to overcome in order for it to pull back to the near point of interest. And then this will be like the next level where price has to break through in order for price to come all the way up here. Okay. Would you move your BBL once liquidity has been swept, goes down or up deeper, sweeping more liquidity? So in terms of BBL, right, like in this case right here, I haven't really seen my BBL. Let me see. I can probably dim this as my BBL, or even like this one right here. This will be the block before liquidation itself, right? So right here, this would be my BBL. And the question, would you move your BBL once liquidity has been swept, i.e. goes down or up deeper, sweeping more liquidity? In terms of BBL wise, like what is BBL, right? If you think from like first principles, BBL is pretty much just the block before liquidation. And if you like really simplify that, it's pretty much the point of interest that has to fail or cause price to flip in order for us to know that smart money has utilized the liquidity to fuel the move to the upside, right? So in this case itself, if this was the block before liquidation, I want to see like a flip just like this, right? And then it led to like a fractal market shift. Or I want to see price just blast right through it, right? So if there's new liquidity being swept down here, then this will be the new BBL, okay? The BBL will be moved once new liquidity is swept. If not, it stays at this place right here, right? So that's pretty much the gist of it. So if price goes down lower and swept more liquidity, like for example, it goes down lower, swept more liquidity, then yeah, this will be the BBL, so it will be moved. But if it goes up, right, bear in mind that it's just gonna do its job, right? And we can see whether the BBL is valid or not. If it blasts right through it, like I said, that means they have used the liquidity below these lows right here to fuel price to go up there. And if it fails, same thing right here. Does your trade plan have a minimum R? Like if your trade setup won't return 1 to 3 R, you won't take it, or are you fine taking 1 to 2? For me, minimum 1 to 2. Okay, minimum 1 to 2. Obviously, I want to aim for 1 to 3, 1 to 5. I've never always been like the guy who catch 1 to 10 R trades, 1 to 15 R, 1 to 20 R, like some of the students that we do here. It's just not who I am, right? Like I like to think that if I can catch this 1 to 2 to 1 to 3 or 1 to 2 to 1 to 5 R trades consistently, I don't need to have like a super duper low win rate. I also don't need to have like a super high win rate. I just need to, perform my best and I'll still be profitable, right? So based on like my data alone, I felt like 1 to 2 to 1 to 5, that's like the sweet spot for me. Anything more than that, I either fail to capture it a lot of times, right? Because a lot of times, if you try to catch this 1 to 10 R trades, you're just gonna be waiting and waiting for everything to line up. And then a lot of times you're gonna incur a lot of losses. And it's just ruin you psychologically, right? because your mentality is just gonna be messed up. Imagine once a 10-hour trade, right? It comes once a month. What about the other 9 trades that you take? It's probably gonna be losses, right? Because once 10-hour trades, it's very difficult to catch, and it's those scenarios where your stop loss is super duper tight, so you're gonna get stopped out a lot of times, especially in June, right? So I don't like to catch these super duper high R trades, right? My plan is more catered towards like 1 to 2 to 1 to 5, and then I'll just have like a moderate win rate, like 30 to 50% win rate, depending on how much is my R, right? I know the numbers in order for me to be profitable for the month itself. And then in terms of taking fixed R, I don't really do fixed R, honestly. Like, I just let it run to my take profit. For example, if this is my take profit, I just let it run there, right? But yeah, my minimum is this has to 1 to 2. Okay. Yeah, but sometimes I would be a little bit discretionary because, like I said, I've earned the right to be discretionary. Like, for example, if price goes up, like somewhere around here, right? If I don't like the price action, right, instead of being like so strict, trying to play by the book, I'll just get out, right? Like, yes, the mechanical trade plan says that I have to hold the trade all the way to my TP. But the thing is cash. Okay? Like, if I'm up like, I don't know, 15K, whatever, and I don't like the price action, once again, this is not emotion speaking to me. It's just I don't like the price action, and I got a feeling that price is about to reverse. I personally would just close it, right? But yeah, once again, depends on your mechanical plan. I wouldn't advise you to do that though, because at the start you want to be as mechanical as humanly possible, right? Stick to your fixed R, and then slowly, as you develop the confidence and competence, then you can start to, like really play around with your like take profit and stop loss. But like I said, at the start, just stick to fixed R. Okay, cool. Let's go. Right, I'm gonna go through one last instrument because I have to head off to a meeting in about 10 minutes. So I'm gonna go through Bitcoin. I think someone requested Bitcoin just now. It's funny because like this morning I was like looking at Instagram and I saw like $1 billion has been wiped out in the last 24 hours on Bitcoin or something. I just saw it on like one of those like motivation Instagram posts, right? But yeah, $1 billion have been wiped out in the last 24 hours. Crazy numbers. Okay, so in terms of Bitcoin, man, let's just look at Bitcoin. Let's just, okay, in this case right here, super duper wide swing range right here. We got a bullish break of structures to the upside just like this. And then over here, we did got a fractal market shift right here. This is not really convincing though, right? Like, this is not really a convincing market shift because, like I said, price did not really close below this low. You can see even yesterday, price came down here, right? But it just swept all the available liquidity below this low and then just continued pushing up, right? So this is not the most convincing close, which tells me that right now, Bitcoin is still within that bullish phase, right? It haven't go to that stage where it's making like that deep pullback, which could happen, right? With the war coming on, all that stuff, I don't know, like anything can happen, right? It's filled with a lot of uncertainty right now. Okay, but in terms of structure wise, this would be the swing high, right? This would be the swing low that we have right here. But in terms of internal structure, price, go down to 4-hour. Internal structure, what do we have? Oof. Okay, this could be an internal breakout structure. This could be an internal breakout structure. We might actually shift bearish over the next few weeks. This does not look good, eh? Okay, so internal structure wise, this is the range that we are playing within now. Right, this is the range that we are playing within. And then right now, looking at where price is at, price is creating lower highs, lower lows. Okay, price is pretty much pulling back to this supply that we have up here. Nice little supply. Let's go down to the 1 hour. Okay, so this will be like a more wider breakout structure, right? So you can see within this, there is your internal structure, right? So all of this, you can map this up, right? And then price comes down here, pulls back, I'm really curious to see what price will do here. This is the critical level here. If price were to take out this high right here, take out this supply, like I said, overcome the resistance within this supply right here, then we can potentially move up to the next level. Right? So right now, what I want to see for price to, continue bullish on Bitcoin is for price to actually take out this high here. Okay, if you take out this high, then this is invalid. This is just like a market shift. Okay, then price can potentially return to its all-time high. If not, right, that is why I say that Bitcoin is really like sentiment based rather than technical based. Like I can draw like the perfect market shift and all that stuff, but price is not going to follow it whatsoever because the consumers or rather the whales, the cabals might want to actually dump on Bitcoin, right? So I just feel like technical analysis plays like a much smaller role for Bitcoin compared to like Forex, but it still plays a role, right? So in this case right here, this is, like I said, the area that you really want to look out for, right? So in this case, what do I want to see? Let's go down to the 50-minute. What do we have? Price shifted bullish here to facilitate the pullback to this area right here, or even to this area here. And then from this point of interest, observing this internal structure that we have up here. Let's just look at this. Price goes up, pulls back, goes up. Okay, potentially it's creating like a new higher low right here, and then potentially goes up even higher. Yeah, it's very hard to tell where price is gonna go right now because it's still within this consolidation right here as well. Okay, so personally, right, like I said, if price were to take out this high here, right, maybe even sweep some liquidity below this low and just goes up here, during the New York session or something, then we can expect price to potentially come out to this area right here. Right, and then if it's able to take out this low here, it doesn't necessarily mean that price is gonna shift bearish, right? It just means that price could potentially, pull back to the next areas of demands that we have down here, and then it can still continue bullish itself, right? Now the bearish scenario, right, where you want to prepare for is if price take out this low here. If price take out the 98K level, then yeah, we are potentially going back to this consolidation here, or at least going down to like 92K, right? Like this area right here, this 94K range. Yep. And also Bitcoin is so cyclical based, right? It's always like demand, and then there's a bunch of consolidation just like this, and then it's like overbought or some shit, and then like supply, and then same thing again, right? Because it's oversold and then it goes up again, and then it's consolidation again, right? I believe right now it's in this particular phase right here where there's no clear buyers, and then we could potentially go back to like the bearish phase, and then potentially then we can get like another push to the upside where price can reach the 150K level. But right now, understand that they just need some form of liquidity, right? Understand that smart money, they're smart, right? Like these cabals, these institutional investors, they're not going to be buying here, right? They need to engineer liquidity, right? They need to engineer fear, right? Fear from the crowd, making everybody sell their hands, right? If they can do that, then that is where they're able to get in at like a cheaper price. That's really all Bitcoin is, right? That's how the game works. So in this particular case itself, like I said, I already mapped out the scenarios, right? If price take out this low, then we can potentially shift bearish and price can come down to this area right here. And if you're like an investor, this would be a good time to enter for longs, or even if you're like a swing trader. Yeah, but like I said, just look at the overall sentiment, right? Look at the footprints of the smart money. You don't want to get in too early. You don't want to to get out too late. You want to ensure that you got your proper confirmation, your confluences, before you actually start looking for longs on Bitcoin itself, right? But for now, that's pretty much a bias, right? I've shown you the scenarios where it could be bullish, it could be bearish, and for me personally, I do want to look to invest into Bitcoin because I currently just don't hold any Bitcoin whatsoever, and I do believe that, like I mentioned in the last live trading session, Bitcoin is 100% going to get to at least 150K in the future, right? No doubts about it whatsoever. It's just, like I said earlier, looking for like the best time to actually enter into the market itself. And I like to believe that it's within like this range right here, somewhere around here, where price is actually within the discount zone, right? You can see right here, the price is super high up here in premium. Yeah, so that's pretty much for the live trading session today. After we really head off to the meeting right now with the software team for the software that we are developing. Hope you guys gotten some value of it. If you guys got any questions whatsoever, please come on to my coaching call on Friday. Ask me right there and then, and I'll be more than happy to help. Okay, if not, maybe, just maybe, I can show you guys Edgeflow on Friday itself. So definitely look forward to that. And we're going to be releasing the landing page very soon, where you guys can actually see the features within Edgeflow. All right, but until then, I'm going to put my head down and continue working, continue grinding, and I'll see you guys very soon. All right, take care, everybody. Cheers.